Welcome back everybody to another video. Today we are back from the NFL tier list video. Now, first off, I want to say thanks for all the support on my last tier list video, which was ranking all 32 teams going into this season. So if you didn't see it, go check it out. But you guys went crazy with it. My most liked video ever, my most commented video ever. And you guys seem to always like the tier list videos. I seem to always like doing them, so I'm just going to keep them coming. This video was originally scheduled for me to do, I was thinking probably close to the season. But honestly, you guys went crazy with the support, so I thought, why not bring in almost, back-to-back days? I think 3 days apart, so pretty close. So today we are ranking every single quarterback going into this year. Now, before we get into it, I will say we are ranking more than 32 quarterbacks because there are a few backups and rookies on here. Some kind of some fun ones like that, I guess, because, some backups do get in the game relatively often, so I guess it's cool to rank them as well. So we'll be doing that. Also, before we get into it, a lot of people hold Mahomes as the best quarterback in the NFL. I do as well, and some people even say he's on his own tier, okay? Listen, he's going to be at the top. I'm going to tell you guys right now, but there are going to be other quarterbacks. I think Mahomes is the best in the league, but I'm not going to reserve S just for Mahomes. I want to have some of the top quarterbacks in the league in the S tier, so no disrespect to him. I'm not saying the quarterbacks on that tier are even better than them, but I just want to have the best of the best up there, even though Mahomes is still probably better than some of them. But to get all that out of the way, we will now start the video, and in the greatest transition possible, going from Patrick Mahomes, we're starting out with Sam Darnold. So Darnold going, from the Panthers to the 49ers, it is very, very possible that he actually sees the field, and there are some guys toward the end I'm not going to rank. I think there's a decent amount, honestly, probably like 14 or something, but Darnold is one I chose that I wanted to rank because, like I said a second ago, it is very possible that he does see the field this year, and people have given him some excuses that have been valid up until this point in his career, like he hasn't had the best weapons or the best coach, which was true in both New York and Carolina, but I don't know. His time is running out. If he is going to end up showing much of crazy potential, his time is running out. So he needs to make the most of his chances. If that's going to happen, it's going to happen in San Francisco because this will be his best coach, his best system, and his best weapons around him his entire career. Sam Darnold does get, I think, too much hate. He is actually a somewhat reliable, okay, that's a strong word. He is a competent quarterback. We'll say that. So we're going to stick him in like the, I guess, D tier, because there's going to be more in C tier, so we'll stick him in the D tier. Now, going to this year, Justin Fields is next, and he's projected to take a bit of a leap, and like I talked about in my Ranking 32 team video, I do think Fields is going to take a big step. Now, in the Bears as a whole, I kind of said, I don't think they're going to, go crazy and go to the playoffs, but they will make a big improvement, which I am going to stand by, but I do think Fields is going to be a much more proven passer this year. He now has DJ Moore, so he really can have very good weapons around him. I wouldn't say very good, but good weapons around him, like DJ Moore, who's very underrated at that. Darnell Mooney is pretty good. Cole Kmet just got better as the years have gone on. So Fields does have some targets around him, and that's the big question mark around him is, can he be a proven passer? I think he's going to take a major step for that going into next year, and so I am going to put him in the B tier. I think currently he's probably C tier. But I think he's going to take another step and be in that B tier because his running ability and ability to extend plays is already just, one of the best in the league, honestly, just beyond incredible. So he's going to go in B. Next is Hurts. Hurts, I'm going to actually put in S tier. And again, the Mahomes thing, go back to it. Just remember, keep that in mind. But I think Hurts, honestly, is going to become one of the most exciting players in the league. I was high on him out of college solely because I like Oklahoma football. I know he went from Alabama to Oklahoma, so I liked him a lot there. And he did show flashes. Last year, obviously, huge breakout year. Go to the Super Bowl, almost win it. He's in a great system there in Philadelphia. Great weapons around him. They didn't really get worse. They lost Miles Sanders, and that's about it. So I don't see Hurts going anywhere. I think it's only going to get better. He's going in S tier for me. Next is Geno Smith. Geno had a great season last year, and I have gone back and forth on Geno Smith individually and the Seahawks as a whole, whether or not they're going to replicate that, because a lot of it does hinge on Geno Smith. And that's the best year he's had by far in the league, so can he replicate that? Personally, I don't know, but I do think the things he showed us last year aren't things that are just going to go away. I mean, he looked very fundamentally sound. He had great vision. He made great decisions. And, it's hard to just lose that, So I don't see him regressing too much. But at the same time, I don't think he's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. So I do think he's going to go in that B tier. you could probably make an argument for him going into the C tier, but I do think Geno is honestly very good, and what keeps him in that B tier for me is his ability to not turn the ball over very much. He's very careful with it, or at least he was for a majority of last year. So I like that a lot about him, and he now adds Jackson Smith and Jake Butt in the weapon form in Seattle. So I like it a lot. Next, another kind of one of the fun ones I was talking about is Bailey Zappi, or Zapp. I can't remember how you say it. I think it's Zappi, but he's the backup to Mac Jones in New England. You know, last year there was kind of like that short, brief week, like 1 week or 2 week period where it was like, Mac Jones is out, this guy's in, and then, you know, that didn't really happen. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on him. He was exciting to watch. Could he get in if Mac Jones struggles? Absolutely. But, I mean, going off what we saw last year, like, we barely saw anything. So, I kind of want to go F, just because, like, no hate to him, but we didn't see a whole lot of him, you know what I mean? So, I'm just going to leave him there because I feel like as bad as Darnold can be, he's a more proven quarterback than Bailey is. So we're going to stick him in F, but no disrespect there. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys. But next is Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill, in my opinion, is really coming close on retirement. I think sometimes he does look pretty good. And don't get me wrong, he is actually a pretty good quarterback. But I think it's just that. Like, he's just a pretty good quarterback. He's not going to take you to a Super Bowl, but at the same time, he's not going to miss the playoffs too often. I think they do this year, but that's more on the competition, the AFC as a whole, not just on Tannehill's shoulders. But I think, he can make the playoffs. He'll have a respectable year, but I don't think his ceiling's super high at this point in his career. So he is just going to go and C for me. He'll win you some games, but he's not going to do anything too crazy. And next is Hendon Hooker. Now, this is an interesting one to rank because cut off his ACL tear and Jared Goff in. Yeah, I mean, you never know. Goff could get injured and Hendon Hooker could be put in. Will that happen? Obviously, there's no telling. So it's kind of hard to rank this, but we'll do this somewhere in the ballpark of, I mean, he has some good weapons around him. He has a great coach. It's a good situation for a rookie. Hasn't played in like a year. So I don't know. You want to just throw him in D, C or D? I mean, I like him a lot, but, I mean, we don't know how much he's going to play. ACL tear, you kind of get what I mean? So I think he has the potential to be very good, but like going into this year, possibly be getting put in mid-season after an injury and just abruptly being shoved in the game, I don't think he's going to do the best, but I think his potential is definitely there. Next is Josh Allen. I've talked about Josh Allen several times now in both the individual video I did of him and the team prediction, or not team, the rankings I just did last time on the tier list. Josh Allen started getting a lot of hate last season. Started getting a little careless with the ball, whether that was his fault or the receivers running the wrong routes or poor pass protection. Regardless of what it was, he did turn the ball over, the most interceptions in the league. I cannot see that happening 2 years in a row. I don't even think he'll be top 3 in interceptions in the league this year. I think Josh Allen understands that was unacceptable by his standards, and if he wants to, win that Lombardi, you can't be doing that. And I think he understands that. He's not a stupid quarterback. He's a great quarterback. I think the Bills are going to bounce back and have a more respectable year. Whether that means Super Bowl or not, I think they go out in a more respectable way than what they did last year after kind of struggling down the stretch. Injuries, barely beating the Dolphins, and then just kind of limping back into Buffalo for the Bengals to stomp them. I don't think it's going to end like that this year. I think Josh Allen has a big bounce back here, and he's going in the S tier. As for Jimmy Garoppolo, and I've already kind of talked about this in the past and other past videos, I think the Raiders did upgrade going from Carr to him, but I think both are fairly inconsistent quarterbacks at that. So I think he will be better, but Garoppolo, again, personally, I wouldn't want as my quarterback of the future. I don't think it's a long-term solution. He does have Devontae Adams, of course, though, and Josh Jacobs, and now has Jacoby Myers from free agency. So, to me, Garoppolo is just kind of that B or C tier. He's not bad, but he's not great, and I don't think he's going to really take that team anywhere, especially in a tough division like the AFC West. Next is Jordan Love. Jordan Love, I actually have, I wouldn't say high standards for, but pretty respectable standards for. I think he has shown a lot of flashes when given the opportunity, especially last year in the Eagles game when he came in. He looks like he has, honestly, a pretty good vision with the ball so far. He had great accuracy, which, it was a wide open crossing route, but still, he got the ball off quick. He made the right decision, and you know what? That's better than what he started because, I think a few of those first games were a little rough in past years and in preseason and all. But Jordan Love, first full season, you have Christian Watson, and you have Aaron Jones, and you have A.J. Dillon, and you draft Luke Musgrave as your tight end. I do think he's in a spot to succeed. I don't know how high that ceiling is, to be honest, in his first year, but I do think he's going to be exciting to watch as that kind of new era in Green Bay takes over. So, in my opinion, Jordan Love, oh man, okay, B or C. I think B is a little rich since we haven't really seen a lot of him, so we'll put him in C. But he could very easily be B tier. But I am just still a little skeptical because we haven't seen a whole lot with a larger sample size. But that's where he's going to go for now. Next, Andy Dalton. Look, I like Andy Dalton. He's on the Panthers. I don't think he's going to play very much unless something happens to Bryce Young, which I really hope is not the case. Dalton can be good. Overall, though, I think he's approaching the end of his career. I'm just going to stick him in the D tier. I don't think he's, insane by any means. But next is Bryce Young. Now, Bryce Young, I'm going to be very honest here as a Panthers fan. I think he's going to be a phenomenal quarterback in the NFL. But I do not think it's going to all come in 1 year. Because, quite honestly, the Panthers don't have the best receiver room in the league. I mean, they just don't. You have veterans like Adam Thielen, which I think is good and is important to help the younger guys. But DJ Chark is not going to be a long-term solution at wide receiver. Jonathan Mingo definitely could be. You draft him, he's quite good. Hayden Hurst from Cincinnati for your tight end, he is quite good. And Terrace Marshall Jr., I think, does have a ton of potential. So it is respectable, but a lot of it hinges on just how they're going to perform with this much opportunity, which really, other than Adam Thielen, none of those receivers have had a lot of opportunity. So it's a lot of up-in-the-air type stuff. Bryce Young, though, I think, is going to have a pretty mediocre first year and show some flash of what he will eventually be, but not all in 1 year, so he's going to go in the C tier for me. Next is Jacoby Brissett. I'm going to be honest, I don't even know how much he's going to play. I think he's in Washington with Sam Howell, so, I mean, Brissett, when he was in last year, did fine, but, I mean, this year, I'm just going to say D, I guess. But, I mean, like, if there's a quarterback that's not going to get in very much, like Bailey Zappi or like Jacoby Brissett, and I rank him too low, just also take that as, like, not even being ranked at all, because I just don't think they're going to do anything. So, no hate toward them. That's just where I'm going to put him for right now. Next is Daniel Jones. So, Daniel Jones is a very important one to me because he is one that, like, everyone's going to have attention on, whether or not he, like, continues to do what he just did last year or goes right back to the Daniel Jones we were all used to prior to last year. In my opinion, I think he's finally in a good spot where he's confident. He does have good weapons around him. I mean, you bring in Darren Waller now, and of course, Brian Daboll really changed that culture around when they needed it most. So, Daniel Jones, I do think is going to improve. I will say I think A tier might be a little rich for him, so I am going to say B tier, but I will say I think he will bring his team more wins than Justin Fields will. But that's two totally different situations, so I don't want to say that's on Fields or anything like that. But I do think the Giants will be the better team in that tier. But I think the quarterbacks will be quite similar. Next is Lamar Jackson. So this is going to be a big question mark. But if Lamar can stay healthy, because of course I'm ranking this as if all of these guys are staying healthy, Lamar, in my opinion, is going in S tier. I think he now has the best weapons he has ever had in the league. You have Mark Andrews still. You draft Zay Flowers. You have Rashad Bateman still. You bring in Odell. You have J.K. Dobbins. I mean, even Isaiah Likely is a backup tight end who looks pretty good. You have a ton of weapons compared to who you had in years past. And I know people, and even I've said this too, that, you're getting an Odell that is still going to be good, but he's not prime Odell, and that's just the facts. I love Odell, but he's not prime Odell. But he is still a lot better than whoever in the world you had, 2 years ago for Lamar Jackson. So I think it's going to be a big year for if he can stay healthy. He got paid. There's no sitting out. It's just time to win. You got weapons. You won the weapons, and they're here. I mean, it's just there's nothing else to do but go out there and win. And I think Lamar's going to do that this year. So he's going in S. And joining him in S as a division rival is Joe Burrow. I think he'll be another one of those quarterbacks. I mean, I think all in S tier, we could kind of call that quarterback one potential. I think these guys all have opportunity to be like, top quarterback in the league this year. Not Patrick Mahomes, but like, you know what I mean, hopefully. I mean, if you don't, then just, I don't know what to tell you. But Joe Burrow, I mean, he's in a great offense in Cincinnati. I mean, I'm pretty sure he is the Bengals playoff win, I think, like, leader. And he's only been there for, I think, 2 full seasons because he got hurt his first year to make the playoffs. That is not bad for Cincinnati standards, but, I mean, Joe Burrow is already starting off his career hot than all other Cincinnati quarterbacks failed to do in their entire career. So I think Joe Burrow, still going to be him, still going to be great. You have Jamar Chase, you have Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. You lose Hayden Hurst, but you bring in Irv Smith from Minnesota. You have Joe Mixon, and you draft Chase Brown as your running back. You have a great offense. I don't see Joe Burrow going anywhere. I think he's going to stay in S. Next is CJ Stroud. I'm going to put CJ Stroud in the same tier as Bryce Young, because I think they're going to actually have pretty comparable years. If either one have a better year, I have to go with Bryce Young. Not trying to be biased, but I do think he has better weapons than CJ Stroud, so the odds are I think Bryce Young will be better. But CJ Stroud, I think, does have a new. I'm not trying to phrase this. We'll say he's now in a new Houston team, because this Houston team, I think, is now turning around. They're not going to be the joke of the league. I think they're still going to be pretty bad, but they are trying. They're bringing in players. I think they're now trending up, and I think CJ Stroud's going to be a big part of that. He's going to show what he can be for that franchise. I think he's going to have, honestly, a pretty good year. Next is Tua. I'm going to put Tua in the first player to go in the A tier. Again, Tua's one where injuries are a real concern, but of course, if he can stay healthy, he's in a phenomenal offense. I mean, you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Those two alone are pretty unbelievable. You might even land Dalvin Cook, who's also a fairly good receiver at the backfield too. So I like Tua a lot. I hope he can stay healthy, because, head injuries are no joke, and he almost retired after, just last year. So hopefully he can stay healthy. I do think he is in that A tier, though. Next is Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, I mean, as long as he's healthy, I think he can have a great year. I mean, I would love to put him in A tier, but that's kind of Tua level. I think more realistic is kind of that B tier, but I mean, you never know. But I think the kind of elbow injury is a real concern going into this year, so I'm going to put him in the B tier. But I mean, hey, he's in a great system. You got Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, great coaching. I mean, hopefully he can stay the same as he was last year, because he was lighting it up for, Mr. Irrelevance. Pretty cool. But next is Drew Lock. Last time we saw him, he's pretty bad, and I don't think he's going to get in. If he does, I think he's going to be pretty bad. So I guess we'll just put him in F. I'm moving on. Matthew Stafford's next. So the Rams, I am truly expecting to be one of the worst teams in the league, especially because of that secondary. But, Stafford has only Kupp to work with, which for, fantasy, implications, that's, great for Kupp. But for, winning NFL games, Stafford really only has Kupp to work with, and Cam Akers, I guess. So Stafford, I think, is going to go in C. Kind of where Tannehill and Garoppolo are. I think the best is behind them. And, Stafford's a great quarterback. Won a Super Bowl. But I think we're just going to kind of trend down from here. I don't see a big year for Stafford at all. Next is Mac Jones. So Mac Jones is someone that is, I don't want to say hot seat, but he is also going to be looked at pretty strictly, because last year the offense was horrible, absolutely horrible, but a lot of that was on the play calling. So now you have a different play caller, and I can't not remember what his name is, but I believe he was the Texans' old head coach at one point. Moving on though, I cannot remember. Okay, that's gonna bother me. Anyway, Mac Jones though, you have all those kind of, I guess I'd say, excuses gone, because it's a different offensive coordinator. In the Patriots offense doesn't look terrible on paper. I mean, you have Ramondre Stevenson, you lose Jacoby Myers, but you do have Devontae Parker now. You could even land DeAndre Hopkins, but again, that's kind of up in the air. And then you still have Tyquan Thornton going into his second year. So you do have guys, and you're bringing in Juju Smith-Schuster, of course. So you do have guys that can definitely do something with the ball. Mac Jones, though, he kind of scares me, I'm not going to lie, because I really don't know how much to put in the coaching, how much to put on him. A certain degree of it is definitely on Mac Jones. I am going to put him in C tier. In my opinion, last year he was D tier. I think he's going to take a step up, but I can't just say he's going to jump to B tier just from a coaching change. Mac Jones has to show that he's also a good quarterback, which he did show his rookie year, but again, that coaching change can really mess up a guy and ruin that confidence, so you never know. I'm putting him in C tier, though. Next is Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett, I think, is actually going to take a pretty good step up, and I'm actually going to put him in B tier. This might be a hot take that people might not like, and, whatever, I guess. But, I mean, Pickett, he got a lot better as the year went on, and he's in Pittsburgh where, I mean, you have Deontay Johnson, you have George Pickens, you have Pat Freiermuth, you have Najee Harris. I mean, you're in a pretty good offense. And, I mean, I don't see any reason why he'd be worse than he was last year, and especially after improving so much. So, I'm going to put him in B tier. I think he takes a step up. I don't think that that's like the craziest prediction, because I think a lot of people have him as like a breakout candidate. But either way, he's going in B tier. Trevor Lawrence is, he is either S or A, and I just cannot decide where I want to put him. And looking at other quarterbacks, Man, we'll do. We will put him in A, but at the end, of course, if you guys are new to my tier list videos, I do move people around, just so you guys know if I don't like the way it looks. During the video, try to keep it pretty fluid, so I don't linger too long. We'll put Lawrence in A, but he could be an S. I mean, I'll have to think about that a little bit later. But I mean, Lawrence is in a great offense. I mean, you come back down 27-0 in your first playoff game to get the win after having a horrible rookie year thanks to Urban Meyer. Now you have Calvin Ridley back from suspension, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Travis Etienne, and you draft Tank Bigsby as another backup running back. I mean, you're in a great offense. Trevor Lawrence, I think, is one of those guys that was always projected to be super high. Going into college, high-rated prospect from high school, then going to the NFL. I mean, he's always been hyped up. I think he's just now hitting that, the very surface of his potential. That's why I want to put him in S, but I am a little hesitant too, so we'll leave him in A for right now. Next is Sam Howell. Sam Howell is, I really want to put him in B, but he's just so unproven. I'm going to put him in C, but I have a feeling, and I don't know why, but I think he's actually going to be a pretty good quarterback. When he got in against Dallas, he looks like he really knew what he was doing, and you do have solid weapons there in Washington. I mean, you have Terry McLaurin, you have Jalen Dotson, Curtis Samuel, and you have Brian Robinson as your running back, and Antonio Gibson, who's also a pretty good receiving back. So Howell has people to work with here. I mean, he's not like he's stranded on a bad team. He actually has a pretty good offense around him, and I would absolutely love to put him in B tier, but I just can't. And honestly, the more I look at it, maybe I move Daniel Jones up to A. I'm not really sure. I might in the future. Next is Davis Mills. I mean, he's going in F. He's in pretty bad. Unless something happens to C.J. Stroud, I don't think he gets in. If he does, same deal as Drew Lock. I think it's going to be ugly. Next is Will Levis. So Will Levis actually has a real opportunity at getting in the game as a third-string quarterback because Ryan Tannehill, I mean, he could definitely get injured. He struggled with injuries before. That's always up in the air. And Malik Willis struggled last year. And honestly, I think if the coaching sends Willis out there and he starts struggling again, they're not going to hesitate to be like, all right, Levis, you go do it. Again, there's a lot of things that go into that. But at the end of the day, let's say all that does happen, or in some circumstance, Levis gets in the game. I don't think it's going to be good. Honestly, I'm talking like D tier. I think he's going to struggle a lot, just like Malik Willis did. Levis has looked very rough in the offseason. I think he looked a little better at the end of minicamp, but I heard that Willis did actually outperform him, so he's going to D tier. Next is Dak. Dak gets so much hate, and I mean, some of it is warranted. I mean, he messes up sometimes in pretty big ways, but I mean, man, he's in a great offense, and he does get those guys the ball, and he does have some great games. So I'm putting Dak in B tier. I think he gets a lot of hate, so I'm going to put him in there. I think he's going to have a solid year, but I think B is probably his ceiling at this point in his career, I'm going to be honest. Next is Russ. I'm actually going to put Russ in B tier. This might be a bit of a jump or unexpected one, but I think he actually does bounce back. I think last year was honestly just an anomaly. You had Nathaniel Hackett, and then when he gets fired, Russ actually looks pretty good at the end of the year. And you have a great offense. I mean, you have Courtland Sutton, you have Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick back from ACL tear. You bring in Samaje Perine, who was great out of the backfield for Cincinnati last year. I mean, it's very possible for us to have a bounce back year, and I do think he has that. So he's going to go in B tier. Next is Kyler. I absolutely love Kyler. If you've seen some of my videos in the past, you've probably seen me wearing my Kyler shirt I have. He's so fun to watch, but man, that Cardinals team is bad on that offense. Other than Marquise Brown and I guess Rondale Moore, I mean, and James Conner, I mean, not a lot to work with, and you're coming off an ACL tear. I'm going to have to put Kyler Murray in C. I think overall as a quarterback, I think he'd be much higher, like B or even A. But going into next year, it's not going to be a good year for the Cardinals. He's going to go in C. Next is Anthony Richardson. So he is going to play. That's, pretty understood. I think he was obviously a very raw prospect, like everybody says. But from what we've seen in minicamp, it looks like he has more of those traits than once thought. He looked very accurate right off the bat. And again, this with no defense, this with no pocket, no pressure, no crowd noise. So take it with a grain of salt, but, still, fundamentally it was a huge issue for him, and he's actually looking pretty nice. So I am going to put him with the rest of the rookies in C tier. I don't think he has a bad year, but again, transitioning to the league, there'd have to be a lot for me to put them on the tier of, B with those other guys. That's like Bijan Robinson level good. He hasn't played yet, and you're already putting him in, A tier, B tier, S tier, anything like that. But I don't think there's a quarterback that's going to do that for me right now. So he's going to go in C tier. Next is Stetson Bennett. He actually looked okay in Rams minicamp, and I know players were actually talking about him that his arm strength actually didn't look too bad. And Stafford, I mean, he does get injured, but, it's always possible for Stetson to get in, but I think it's going to be like a Will Levis thing. I think it's going to be rough if he does get in and kind of has that NFL speed he's playing at, and I don't think it's going to be good. So he's going to go in D tier if he gets in, of course. Also, we're stopping at Derek Carr, just overall on the same page. The rest of those guys are people I'm not going to rank. Next is Trey Lance. Trey Lance, I think, has just not got a shot. He's been so unlucky. I'm actually going to put him on the same tier as Brock Purdy. I think if given the opportunity, he can replicate what Brock has done fairly similarly and probably get even more rushing yards. So I like Trey Lance a lot. He's going to go in the B tier. Next is Zach Wilson. I mean, look, he's going in D tier. I mean, he's not good, in my opinion. I don't even think taking time to learn from Aaron Rodgers is going to help much either. I think he's just not a good quarterback, and he should have been taken that high. I think he had a lot of good fundamentals. Just didn't translate. It happens sometimes. It sucks, but I think Zach Wilson is an example of that, so he's going to go D tier. Jameis Winston, I don't even know if he's going to get an opportunity to play, but if he does, I think he's going to go in D tier. I love Jameis. He's a fan favorite. He has a great personality, but, I mean, I just don't think he's that great, so he's going to go in D tier as well. Next is Baker Mayfield, and they need to update this picture because I would love the thing from Men in Black that wiped your memory. I would love that to forget he ever wore a Panthers uniform. Baker Mayfield, look, he's a competitor. I mean, you can say anything you want about him, but you can't say he's not a competitor. He does fight, and he does work hard, but it just doesn't translate on the field. I mean, he's just not that great. He cracks under pressure, misses a lot of open throws, gets a ton of passes bad down the line like last year for the Panthers. And now on the Buccaneers, don't think it's going to be much better. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. So he's going to go in D tier as well. But next, Patrick Mahomes, like we've said, S tier. In my opinion, the best quarterback in the league. Not going anywhere. I think he's staying in S. Next is Malik Willis. It's going to be a quick one. He's also going to go in D tier. I heard he's improved in the offseason, but again, very little to go off of compared to what we saw last season. And if he gets in, I don't think it's going to be great. So he's going to go in D. Next is Justin Herbert. Herbert's going to go in A tier. I mean, it's very, like, between S and A, you could really, in my opinion, make an argument for any of those players being switched except for Patrick Mahomes. I think Mahomes belongs in S and shouldn't be moved down. Everybody else, you can kind of scramble. So this is just my personal opinion on it. But, I mean, look, if you think that Tua or Trevor should be in there instead of, like, Lamar or Hurts, I mean, don't fight me in the comments. I respect it. That's a perfectly fine take. This is just what I think. But again, very blurred up there with that S and A tier because there are a ton of great quarterbacks in this league, and a lot of them are AFC. I think actually all of those are AFC except for Jalen Hurts. Next is Aaron Rodgers. I think Rodgers is going to have a pretty good year. I said this in my Jets tier list, my ranking team tier list video, that I do think the Jets might be slightly overhyped because Rodgers didn't have a good year last year. Going to a new team, the exact same thing happened to Favre, going from the Packers to the Jets. It wasn't great, so I think it's definitely up in the air, but I do think Rodgers is a great quarterback, and he's not going to be on the same tier as any of those guys below him, so he's definitely going to stay in that A tier. That's just that, in my opinion. Next is Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins. So, man, so Jared Goff, first off, had actually a pretty good year last year in the Lions. I honestly think it's going to stay about the same. He has some great weapons. The Lions are heating up, and I think Goff can get it done. I'm actually going to put him in A tier. He led a high-powered offense last season. Again, I don't see it getting any worse. You saw Amon-Ra St. Brown. You bring in, I cannot remember what running back, which is not going to bother me because you bring in David Montgomery as your running back. You draft Jahmyr Gibbs, who's going to be a huge part of that offense, evidently. Jameson Williams, though he's suspended for gambling. But still, I mean, hey, that's a great offense, and you looked great last year. I think you're going to make the playoffs, actually. So they're going in A tier, or he's going in A tier, sorry. And then next is Kirk Cousins. So where to put Kirk? I am honestly, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move Daniel Jones to A because he took the Giants to the playoffs. I think he deserves respect for that, and I do think he can replicate that again. So he's going to go in A. I am going to also put Kirk Cousins in A. I don't know. That is so tough. Those last three in A, Goff, Jones, and Kirk, I mean, that they all could honestly be in B or A. I don't know. We'll put Kirk in A. He's in a great offense with Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne. You now have Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Alexander Madison. You have a great offense. And Kirk actually had a very good year last year. You make all the jokes you want. I make them too. He did throw a check down on like 4th and 7 or something in the playoffs, which is not ideal. But as a year, he actually had a pretty good season. So I do think he can replicate that this year. He's going to go in A. Let's finish off real quick before I move these people around. So Mariota is, I don't even think, starting. So he had a horrible year last year. So I'm just going to put him in like D tier. And then Desmond Ridder, I do think is going to take a slight step up, but I don't think he's going to be a franchise guy, in my opinion. I think he's going to be like a 1 to 2 year experiment and then just kind of be it. So he's going to go in C tier for me, although the Falcons offense is incredible. Don't get me wrong there. Next is Derek Carr to finish it off. So let's put Derek Carr. You know, I'm going to put, oh my gosh, I could put Derek Carr in C, but I put Garoppolo in, no wait, I did put Garoppolo in C. Never mind. Okay, I thought I put him in B. He's going to go in C because I said they're comparable, and I think they're about the same. Carr's incredibly inconsistent, and I just don't trust it. So, and I think also this is his last chance to prove that he can still play in the league, or else people are going to be looking elsewhere and looking at younger guys. So that's where I'm going to put Derek Carr. Now, to look at this, and also, these are the guys I didn't choose to rank, so just some backups, just some rookies that I knew weren't going to get in. Matt Ryan, I don't think, is on a team anymore. I don't know who in the world this guy is right here. He looks familiar, but he also kind of looks like if Trey Lance and Desmond Ridder had a kid, so I don't know. I'm not sure who that is, though. Moving on from that, though. So, looking at this, the S tier, I think, is, I mean, you could add Trevor Lawrence to that if you really wanted to. Or Herbert, and move Hurts down and move Lamar down. I think Mahomes obviously stays. In my opinion, Burrow and Allen stays. But again, you can make a case for any of those. A tier, I hope I'm not too generous with the A tier putting Daniel Jones there. But, I mean, he had a great year last year. And look at the guys I put below him. I think Daniel Jones could have a better year than. So, I think I'm going to leave that. Looking at C tier, is there anyone I want to move up to B or move down? Man, this is tough. I mean, obviously you guys probably have your own opinions on this. Maybe I rank someone too high or too low. So let me know down below. I am honestly pretty tempted to put, I kind of want to put Sam Howell in B. That's what I said before. I think he's actually going to be quite good. You know what? We'll call that like my big risky pick of this video. I did one last tier list picking the Jaguars super high. I'm going to pick Sam Howell in B tier. I think he comes out and has a phenomenal first debut year, at least by, you know, first year standards. I think he's going to be B tier because those guys above him, I don't see him being better than. But the guys in that tier, I think he could definitely be on the same level as. So we'll move him there. And then as far as D and F, I don't really care about those. Also, again, just to note, because I know I'm going to get comments about Hurts should not be S tier, or Lawrence should be S tier, and all that kind of stuff. You can make a case for pretty much every person in A going in S, except, in my opinion, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, and Jared Goff. And in S tier, you can make a case for any of those guys moving down other than Patrick Mahomes. And then, in my personal opinion, Burrow and Allen. But again, that's up to you guys. Obviously, you guys have your own opinions on this, so let me know down below what I got wrong, what I got right. Again, that was not based on this past year. It's going into this season, ranking them, how I think they're going to do. But thank you guys for watching. Again, you guys seem to love the last tier list video, so I want to get this out quick for you guys because, I mean, if that's what you guys want to do, I'll keep doing it. I love tier list videos. We'll still do wide receivers going into this year and running backs. Could even do corners if you guys want to see that, or tight ends, anything like that. Just let me know down below what you guys want to see for that. My Madden videos obviously been pretty slow. For my Madden viewers, you know it is the slow part of the year, so as soon as it ramps back up for Madden 24, I got you guys with more videos, No Money Spent series, gameplays, pack openings, promo and content news, all that kind of stuff. NFL videos are picking up. We are in the second half of our player prediction series. We're going to continue to do these NFL tier list videos. We're going to do some NFL quiz videos to get us ready for the year. We're also going to be doing a team prediction series with individual teams coming pretty soon as well, since we're done with the player prediction series. So plenty of NFL content along the way, plenty of Madden content along the way. It is just going to be football on the channel one way or another, whether that's NFL or Madden. So thank you guys for watching. I do really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.